Trojans Live, the Women's Spotlight is brought to you by Sprouts Farmers Market. Open 7 days a week. Visit your neighborhood Sprouts for good-for-you groceries and great prices on the freshest produce. And we've got the head coach of USC Women's Volleyball, Brad Keller. 9 straight wins for the women of Troy. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown. Max Brown, our volleyball expert, very excited to have you on the show. He was talking about it even last week. But what's clicked for you, Coach? I mean, obviously, your team has figured some things out here.
A little bit of buy-in, a little bit of more fun, relaxation. I don't know, a little bit of combination of all that stuff. But I think we've always had a good, senior-laden squad that's been just trying to figure it out. And I think the first part of the season was going through that tough time. Like you go to a tournament and you have this product, and it's not the right product, but you got to sit in it. You don't get to just change, and it works. And so you go through that process, and then you learn from it, and you just work on one thing at a time and get better. And so we've been doing that, and so far it's been so good. So,
Coach, what were some of those changes you talk about? You lose 4 games early, and you're like probably trying to figure things out, pieces to put where. What were some of those changes that went into your success coming out?
Full transparency.
We're live.
No problem. I walked into the season thinking that I had the 3 pins of Adanya and Jordan Wilson, who's now at Arizona, and then also Skyler Fields. So you have one of those 3 kids on the pins, and in our game, you got to score on the pins. So we then had
give me the pins.
Pins or outside or opposites, not in the middle of the court.
Max knew that.
Yep. And so,
of course.
So one's here is injured, one's here doing great, and one's not here.
Yeah.
So it's where we are, and so you kind of learn. And I've got a really good depth on my roster. We're doing a good job with that part of it, and so people have to step in and try to get going, and it takes time to figure that out. So it's just what it is. So it's just a nice little shot at the beginning, and then you learn from it. You can either crumble and pull inward, or you can kind of get to work and get going. So we've been trying to get going as best we can.
Coach, you mentioned just the importance of having fun in terms of winning, and it's funny, Coach Riley mentioned something similar 2 segments ago. Sounds so obvious, harder to do, especially at a school like SC where expectations can be so high and there can be a level of seriousness that might trump having fun in a game like this. How do you instill that? Where does that come from? Is it a leader on the team? How do you just manufacture that fun element to your squad?
I don't know.
Respect the honesty.
No. I think there's so many different ways that you try to figure that out. So I'm a dork. I'm a big dork. I'm a big volleyball dork. But at the end of the day, like every single game day, I come in, I start yelling, "It's game day," over and over again during a serve and pass, and I go, "It's the best day of the year. And if you don't like this, it's your fault. And there's 3 days that matter. It's game day, it's Christmas, and my birthday, and nothing else matters." And so you try to so that's a weird or a dorky thing or whatever it is. And my guess is my team doesn't care about that or whatever, but you're trying to find ways to loosen it up just a little bit. And so then you need to get your leaders or the big players to buy into that sort of a thing, and then they've got to kind of not stress the younger kids, and you got to let the younger kids just rip and go. So there's a lot of small conversations, and even during a match, you try not to just go over what the next thing is, and you try to go over how it's going to be positive and how we're going to be okay. And it could be really bad, by the way, but you're still going, hey, we're having a great time, right? We're going to be all right. And so you just kind of move on with that stuff.
Well, you have a true star player in Skyler Fields. And it's funny because Coach was Riley was sort of alluding to this earlier, particularly on defense, is how many different people play. And I was thinking about the different sports. He referenced basketball. And if you have a great point guard in basketball, it's very easy to settle things down and to just build things around one person. You take a sport like baseball, when you can't even control when your best players hit, it's harder to sort of say, hey, let's make sure my star player comes up in the biggest situation of the game. I'm curious about volleyball and where that sits. How easy is it to just sort of build matches around Skyler, make sure she's hitting in the clutch versus, teams obviously want to take her away and you have rotations in your sport that happen sort of organically?
I think there's a 2-part to that. I think number one is you have to figure out ways to create that puzzle where it alleviates her a little bit so she can be the very best version of herself, which is let her do her thing, which is kill the ball. I mean, she kills the ball. She touches 11 feet. She goes over the top of a lot of people. She does a lot of really great things. So how do you maximize that and not give her so much other stress? The second, and that's and like you alluded to, there's like parts of that as you go through lineups and everything else. The other part of that, though, is the fact that you have to have a consistent lineup, and we haven't had that yet. We've subbed more than any other team in the country, and we're still 10-4. But we need some consistency there so that she can look to her left or her right and know you have this thing. Oh wait, you're new, or whatever it is. We need a little bit more of that. So we fall in line with the basketball side of things versus football and baseball and like large personnel groups is what I would say.
Coach, expectations here always high at USC for women's volleyball. What are your realistic expectations for this team? Obviously you haven't seen the full complete thing put together, but what are your expectations?
So I was hired to win national championships. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. And so every single year you have to have that in mind, and how do you build towards that? The issue that everyone has is it may not look so pretty at the beginning. You know, a really good example is our football team just won against Arizona State and then dropped in the rankings. Yep. It's garbage. I mean, I can say that on here, but it's garbage.
It's a beauty contest.
It's just, but it's like, oh, you didn't win this way or what? It doesn't matter. You won. Yep. And so you have to continue to work on building your brand and how you become better, and then how you're actually compete with, let's say, the so-called whoever it is. And so it just comes down to those things. And so at the end of the day, we can do that because we have players that can get to those levels. We have to really push that to make sure that we get that, or get to that space, excuse me. But we got to get healthy enough to have that opportunity, and that's what it comes down to. So yes, I will always say we are training, working towards, and have the opportunity to win a national championship. Yep. It's SC, and if you don't talk like that, you shouldn't be here. That's just what it comes down to.
Amen. And when you're rocking a 9-game winning streak, which is probably new territory for the team in many respects, on one side, that can be a huge confidence generator. On the other side, you run the risk of maybe girls getting complacent and things like that. How do you navigate that fine line of really celebrating what the team's done, but also not get to the point where it's a recipe for some complacency?
I mean, there's so much fuel out there just to like navigate this. We're still not ranked. We're going to Arizona. There's a lot of motivation in Arizona they don't need to talk about. I mean, like there's a lot there on the table. We haven't done anything yet. We got knocked out the second round of the tournament last year, and we were injured, and we have all these excuses. Like, at some point, do you either want this or not? We're going to go after it. Let's go. I mean, if I have to motivate every week, I don't know. I'm not going to last, man. There's going to be some intrinsic motivation here.
Well, the women of Troy are headed to the desert this weekend, trying to extend that winning streak to double figures. But head to USCTrojans.com for the entire schedule and pack the Galen Center, as we've got ourselves a good USC women's volleyball team once again under head coach Brad Keller. Don't wait until game time to plan for retirement. Open your free iTrust Capital account today and get your crypto IRA. iTrust Capital is the official cryptocurrency platform of the USC Trojans. When we come back, we'll be joined by Keely Yorts, our weekly football roundtable on Trojans Live.